Aryna Sabalenka has cemented herself as the undisputed Queen of Melbourne, claiming back-to-back Australian Open titles after beating Qinwen Zheng 6-3, 6-2 in the final. Sabalenka becomes the first woman to defend her maiden major title since Victoria Azarenka did it back in 2013. Sabalenka utterly dominated the field here in Melbourne, becoming the first woman to also win a major without dropping a set since Ash Barty won here in 2022. Talking about the match, the score makes it look straightforward, and it was for the most part, but I feel like it definitely could have been closer and should have been closer. It really came down to Qinwen not stepping her game up when she had chances to get on the board even more. Sabalenka was really on it from the jump. She came out guns blazing and won the first 8 of 9 points of the match, immediately breaking Zheng's serve. Qinwen had 3 opportunities to get her lick back, going up 40-love on Sabalenka's serve in the following game, but she made some costly mistakes and Sabalenka took full advantage and got the early 3-love start, and she didn't face a single break point after that until the final game of the match. I had a feeling that Qinwen would only get better as the match went on, and I truly felt that she would challenge Aryna in that second set, and I think she really could have, but she made life difficult for herself as she broke herself in the opening game of the second set, gifting Aryna 3 double faults in that game alone. That likely just comes down to inexperience because you cannot make 3 double faults in a game, especially going up. She was up 30-love in that first game of the second set. I think that truly was the beginning of the end for the Chinese woman. Even though Sabalenka had the early break in that second set, you got the feeling that it was far from over. Of course, knowing Sabalenka's history of fumbling the bag when in winning positions, but Zheng simply just did not apply enough pressure. The 12th seed could not make any substantial inroads on Sabalenka's serve, and Zheng's own serve let her down tremendously. Qinwen gave 2 double faults down 3-1 to aid Sabalenka in getting the double break cushion. Zheng had a 30-love opening in the following game, the 4-1 game, but she only made 1 return in play since that game, and Sabalenka got the hold. Now, there was a bit of drama in the final game of the match. Sabalenka fumbled 4 championship points. She was up 40-love, and Zheng had a breakpoint look, and I thought, oh my gosh, there's no way Aryna is about to fumble a 40-love 5-2 championship point lead in the second set, and she didn't, thankfully. Aryna erased that breakpoint that she faced with an ace, and she got it done on her 5th attempt. Before I talk about the great things that Aryna did, I do have to discuss things that Zheng did that prevented her from making this more of a match. First, I feel like her return was off, and I think a lot of that was due to her poor returning strategy. Zheng has a kind of an extreme forehand grip, and Sabalenka made the smart decision to serve a lot of her wide serves, slice out wide to the weaker Zheng forehand, and Qinwen missed a lot of forehand returns. It was just back to back. She just could not get really a good hit on it. She framed a lot of her forehand returns, which kind of gifted Sabalenka some freer or easier points. I think that Zheng would have done well had she kind of chipped the forehand a little bit more and got that ball lower and a bit out of Sabalenka's strike zone, kind of mixing it up a bit. I was very surprised that Qinwen did not incorporate as much variety as she had in the past against other opponents. I was expecting Riba to tell her to do more of that as he coached Coco Gauff to her US Open title win over Sabalenka just in September. Coco did an excellent job of mixing things up, varying the height and pace on her shots, and really disrupted Sabalenka's rhythm, but Zheng did none of that and tried to go pound for pound a lot of times with Sabalenka, and that was just a losing play. Sabalenka also made 67% of her first serves and won 84% of points when she made that first serve, and that was mostly due to how good her serve is, obviously, but a lot of that is due to, again, Zheng not returning her best. The serve also was a huge letdown for Qinwen. She hit a low first serve percentage of first serves at 53, and you think 53 isn't that bad, but against an excellent returner like Aryna, you've got to make more first serves. I say at least 65 is what Zheng should have made in this match, especially since that Aryna will utterly attack each and every one of Qinwen's second serves. Qinwen's second serve was a big letdown in this match. I think that her first serve, when she made it, she was relatively successful, winning 74% of first serve points. But Qinwen, first of all, she double faulted so many times, and then whenever she did make the second serve or hit the second serve inside the service box, Sabalenka was all on it and just applied pressure right from the jump. And those 6 double faults from Zheng came at very inopportune times. It wasn't like she hit, once every game. She gave 3 in one game at one point, as I mentioned earlier, then 2 in one game. And that ultimately helped Sabalenka get those crucial breaks that she needed to steamroll to victory. Aryna was the former double fault queen, but she actually hit 0 double faults to 3 aces, which I was very impressed by, because we all know that there were times where Sabalenka was hitting 18 double faults, double-digit double faults consistently in these big matches. But now to hit 0 double faults in a slam final, that's a testament to her growth. You grew.
I'm trying to think. I'm going through her discography, and this is one of her best pieces of work.
Yeah, this is cute.
Like, whoa, you grew.
Qinwen was also the clear crowd favorite here, as she had a lot of the Chinese support in the stadium, but the lack of momentum from her prevented them from really getting involved and honestly changing the course of the match like the US Open crowd did for Coco Gauff in September. I think too, we might have to consider that this was too big of a step up in class for Qinwen. We cannot forget that she didn't face a single player inside the top 50 en route to the final, her highest ranked opponent being 54th ranked Katie Bolter, which was in the second round. Sabalenka is the world number 2, and not only does she have the weapons, but she has the experience too of playing in a Grand Slam final before, and obviously came out much more solid than Zheng did. Qinwen's opponents were solid, but obviously no Sabalenka. And then I think Elena Rybakina losing to Sabalenka obviously messed up the draw, and then Iga Swiatek falling early through a wrench in the tournament as well. I do think that Qinwen deserved to be in the final. Of course, you have to be whoever's in front of you, and she did just that. I was also impressed by her tennis, even though she lost this final. The talent with her is evident. I think she just needs to iron out a few kinks and also build more experience playing in these bigger matches. She had won 2 titles, a 250 and a 500. So going from those tournaments, smaller level tournaments, to a Grand Slam final, trying to go for your first major trophy, that's a big step up and a big ask for her. I think that she will be a Grand Slam winner for sure. It might take her a little bit of time, but she is only 21, so there's plenty of room for her to grow. And I think this final was kind of reminiscent of the 2022 Rolling Girls final between Iga Swiatek and Coco Gauff. Coco perhaps didn't have the hardest challenge or hardest road to the final in terms of opponent quality and experienced opponent, but ultimately the big dog in Iga was too much for her in the final. The same thing happened with Aryna here too. Aryna kind of overpowered her and outplayed her in the tight moments, and that made the difference in the end. The silver lining though for Zheng, obviously it will be a big growing point for her in making her first Slam final, and that'll only help her in getting more confidence out there. She also cracks the top 10 for the first time and will rise to a career high of number 7 in the world on Monday. And I think that she's truly following in the footsteps nicely of Li Na, and she'll be another big superstar to watch in the sport. So just great tournament for her, and I think that her rise will only help tennis grow more as a sport. Now, as far as the quality of the tournament, briefly talking about that, I'm not pleased with the tournament quality, perhaps partly due to Sabalenka dominating the field relatively, not dropping a set. But I think with the US Open, with Coco and her run being more exciting, obviously it's kind of a little bit of a letdown. But I think aside from Sabalenka, the matches just did not give. I think the best match was probably Collins Swiatek in the second round, and I was expecting, and maybe Blinkova Rybakina in terms of the drama that match had, but in terms of quality of both players really bringing their A game, I'm not really sure. I think maybe the closest contender is that semifinal between Coco Gauff and Sabalenka. Now, talking about Sabalenka, I truly am proud of how she rebounded here and from that one-sided Brisbane loss, and she seemed really on a mission for redemption. I think it's incredible too that she's remained resilient after those 3 tough Slam losses. Of course, she won the first Slam of the year in Melbourne, but she had 3 matches that she should have really won. And first, Rolling Girls, the semifinal, up 5-2. She had match point there, fumbled, lost to Mukova. She was up a set and a break against Onstrabur, was like, I think 6 points away from becoming world number 1 and reaching the final, fumbled there. Then she was up a set against Coco Gauff, had multiple break points to go up a set and a break, could not convert, and kind of withered away a little bit in the end. I honestly think those losses somehow motivated her even more to improve, and we saw those improvements throughout this fortnight. She served great, her ground game was strong per usual, but she added some variety to her game as well, not being afraid to kind of throw in a couple of drop shots, chip shots to kind of vary the pace for her opponents. And she's also been coming into the net more and having much more success up there, moving better too. And I think the ceiling is still very, very high for her at only 25 years old. I think she has a lot more room to grow herself. Sabalenka has been dominant, of course, the past few years at the Australian Open and has won her last 28 of 29 sets here in Melbourne, which is incredible. The big question for me, though, is whether Sabalenka can win more than 2 slams and leave the cursed 2-slam club consisting of players like Victoria Azarenka, Petra Kvitova, Simona Halep, and Garbiñe Muguruza, who all really should have won more than just 2 majors, but whether it come down to injuries or just choking, just could not get over the hump. I think that she can and will do this. To be honest, I think that she'll have a baby in about 3-4 years, but even then, I think Sabalenka's game is simply too good for her to only win just 2 slams. We might be entering a new era of dominance with Sabalenka. I'm saying that kind of tentatively because it's still very early, but Sabalenka showed that she's mentally tough now, I think, throughout this tournament. To be honest, Sabalenka could have won all 4 slams last year, but she had the game to do so, but it came down to her mental fortitude and kind of breaking down mentally when it came time to get the big W. But we saw here in this tournament, she had plenty of opportunities to kind of fall away in that semifinal and in the final here too, but she came through clutch when she had to. In that semifinal against Gauff, she fumbled a 5-2 lead and fumbled a set point opportunity, and she went down a break 6-5 30 love in the opening set. It was 2 points away from losing it, but she ended up reeling off 11 of the last 13 points to take it in the tiebreak. And then in the second set, she was down 4-3 30 love while on serve, but played 4 tremendous consecutive points on the trot to get herself out of trouble and ultimately broke back to then seal the deal and get to the final. She was truly on a mission this tournament, and of course, obviously, the closest match was against Coco Gauff in the semifinal. And briefly talking about Coco, I think that she will be a huge threat for Sabalenka potentially in the forthcoming tournaments. Coco has so much more room to grow herself. Her serve is strong, and even then, she didn't serve her best against Sabalenka's terms of the second serve and serving way too many double faults that really gave Sabalenka a second life. But I think that can be a great rivalry in the upcoming years. Of course, we can't forget about Iga Swiatek, current world number 1. But back to Sabalenka, she's the only woman consistently going deep, slam after slam right now. She has made 6 consecutive slam semifinals, something that no one has done since Serena Williams back in 2017. That's incredible how she's able to elevate her level in these big slam tournaments. She thrives on the big stages, and I also think that she's finally exercised those slam semifinal demons. I think that match against Keys at the US Open semifinal did the trick there. Now, another thing that people were discussing on Twitter was whether Sabalenka is the best player on tour. Of course, the rankings say otherwise, as she trails Iga for about 865 points. We cannot forget about Iga's unbelievable end to her 2023 season, which saw her win Beijing and the WTA Finals, and she was riding an 18-match win streak heading into the Australian Open third round, which is where she ended up snapping that win streak. It is kind of tough to say in terms of who is the better player. I kind of give Sabalenka the slight edge, of course, winning the slam, and I think that she really is the woman to beat at the moment. It's very early and perhaps crazy talk for this, but perhaps Aryna can go for the Golden Slam here in 2024. It is an Olympic year. The Olympics will be held in Paris. Swiatek will be the favorite there, but you never know. Sabalenka can play well on any surface, and as we saw in 2023 and now 2024, I think the question there, kind of entertaining that whole conversation, would be holding it up mentally. Still don't know for sure whether she has that potential to be one of the game's or one of her generation's greats. I think that she can, but still I think a lot of it comes down to mental. She showed us that she has the game. I think that the consistent slam showings in the semifinals and the finals prove that, but now it comes to the mental, and I think this tournament was a big stepping stone in showing not only herself but the entire tour that she's got a kind of relatively down pack in terms of the mental aspect of things. I think now too, Sabalenka has cemented herself as a Hall of Famer, as her career is kind of comparable to Victoria Azarenka, her compatriot. She's reached number 1 like Azarenka, has won back-to-back Aussie Open titles like Azarenka, Now, can she surpass Azarenka and win more than 2 slams? I think that's something that we need to look out for in the coming years. But regardless, I'm glad that she's capitalizing on her enormous potential and winning these titles. This is her first title actually since Madrid, so it was a long time coming for her. I think that's a big reason why she's not world number one, not cashing in on those finals opportunities and semifinal opportunities that she had last year. But I think that now that she looks like she will capitalize on them, there's no reason why she can't be world number one for an extended period of time. Ending this on a sweet note, Sabalenka said that her late father wanted her to win at least 2 majors and reach world number one by age 25, and she did just that. Your father would be so proud of you, Aryna. Congratulations. That's all I have for this final recap, and let me know your thoughts on what we saw in the final. Were you disappointed? Were you relatively content watching that final? Also, do you think that Sabalenka is the best player on tour right now, or does that title still belong to Swiatek? And do you think that Sabalenka will win more major titles this year? I think that she can at least win US Open or Wimbledon. Rolling Girls will be tough again with Iga, but you never know, she can do it all. Make sure y'all subscribe to and click the notification bell so you're notified whenever I post my men's final preview. I think I'll post one. I don't know. Y'all just subscribe anyways. I make good content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all soon on the next one.